25, 8-6. And, of course, that game against the Thunder was a great game, and they lost that game to the Thunder. But he had 38 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. So, those are my guys that are really balling right now, that are keeping their teams in the hunt to make the playoffs. Couple guys that I'm down on. I don't want to be like this, but when you look at the Wizards and you get all hyped about the Wizards, there's a couple of players that got us hyped early in the season, and Thomas Bryant was one of those guys. I know that they've changed up his minutes. I think he's coming off the bench now, kind of changing it up a little bit to see what would happen. But you look at a loss versus the Celtics. He had 2 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. In a win at the Nets, he did have 18 points, and at the Pacers he had 23 points. But then in the loss at the Hornets, he had 2 points and 7 rebounds. You got a guy that can average 15 and 10, in my opinion. I mean, he really can. The way he can shoot, he was knocking down 3-pointers.
Yeah,
So he's a guy that if the Wizards are going to make that turn and start putting a streak together, he's going to have to be one of those guys to step up as well. And I talked about this team a minute ago. The Boston Celtics, man. Jason Tatum, what is going on with that guy? You're talking about a guy...
Happy birthday, Jason Tatum, by the way, today.
There you go.
Now bash him.
Right. Well, I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying right now he's just not living up to the potential where he came, where he was drafted. I mean, 10-8, 14-4, 11-7, 12-1. I mean, that's a 20-point... He's got to be getting at least 18 to 20 points a game for that team to really... I mean, that's lowballing it. I mean, I think he should be 20, 25 points a night. And then Gordon Hayward, man, I just don't know what's going on. I mean, you look at him, you look at Paul George. If you look at Paul George, though, and you remember when Paul George first came back, it took him a while. I mean, it took him a while really to come back from that injury and really show or really get back into, shooting. And I mean, yeah, he's out there and he's playing, 20 some minutes. But he's just not for the time he's out there. I mean, he got 3 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in that win at the Wizards. 3 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in the loss at the Blazers. 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists in the loss against the Raptors. And finally, in the loss against the Bulls, he had 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was an all-star a couple of years ago. And again, I'm not taking anything away from him. I understand it was an injury, but, I mean... It's just for that team where they are right now, the turmoil that they're in with everything,
the money they're paying them,
and the money they're paying the players that they got. I mean, you got to get more production out of players like that. So that's the guys that's the teams, the guys that I'm big on and down on. If you have any questions or if you got any comments on it, let me know. Be more than happy to listen to you.
Yeah. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Hillary Report. Just real quick, we're talking about Trae Young. This is a guy that on draft night was traded for Luka Doncic. Who ended up going to Dallas. Man, we're talking about last 5 games real quick. 30 points, 10 assists, 23 points, 8 assists, 36 points, 8 assists, 36 again, 10 assists, 49 points, 16 assists. Trae Young. I know that we've been talking about Luka Doncic being the runaway NBA Rookie of the Year, but I think very, very quickly Trae Young is getting his name in that discussion. I mean, we talked about it when he was in college. People were talking about he's the second coming of Steph Curry. I'm not going that far, but I see a legit NBA superstar being built in Atlanta, and you pair him up with Collins, who was in the dunk contest. That's 2 young, dynamic players the Hawks have. A lot of folks are making jokes saying Atlanta had no idea what they were doing. I kind of tend to feel like maybe the Hawks knew something we didn't know, because if they can get a third young player and a couple veteran pieces, they might be right back in this thing next year.
Oh, man. I mean, I personally still think that Luka is still the Rookie of the Year, but I think what Trae Young has been doing right now is it definitely gives me at least a little bit of doubt that it could be him. I mean, he's definitely saying, look, you're not just going to run away with it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you a run for your money. As a matter of fact, the 2 of them were actually Rookies of the Month for the month of February from the East and West. So, I mean, clearly that guy is out there balling. And you look at it, I mean, you when you think about it, you think about Kobe Bryant, when he came in the league, what did he do? He imitated Jordan. That's what he did. If you watch Kobe Bryant, I mean, I'm sure everybody's already seen the videos. They look identical. Every move that he made was a move that Jordan made because he grew up, watching him play. And Trae Young grew up, or Trae Young came around when he was coming in the league. Steph Curry was doing his thing, so he's like, "Why not?"
Still out there doing his thing.
That's what I mean. But he took his game and he's trying to not necessarily copy it, but he's got a lot of his moves. He clearly can shoot from anywhere on the court. I mean, geez, flip watching the guy play.
His vision is nasty. He's a great jump shooter and from 3-point range and beyond, but just watching Trae Young's passes and how he gets guys the ball in their spots, he's only going to get better.
Right. Well, I think that was one of the things that I noticed, at least, when he was playing at Oklahoma. Everybody talked about his scoring, but it wasn't his scoring. It was like they would double team him and triple team him, and he would find some guy wide open for an alley-oop, like every single time down the court. Oh, you're not going to score on us. Well, that's okay, because I can pass it to my guy without even looking. No-look passes. I mean, some of the passes that he makes in traffic and transition, it's just incredible to watch. And to see a guy that young with that kind of talent, and it's just going to be fun to see how, where he's going to go.
Yeah, Atlanta, I thought, was very far off from becoming a respectable franchise again. Like I said, they get it right in the draft this year, get a couple of key veteran pickups. I can see them being in the Eastern Conference and making some noise next season for sure. They're a lot better off than I thought they were going to be because, even playing at Wake Forest, Collins was a beast, but it was him versus the world every game. I think he's adapted his game to the NBA, and he's starting to figure things out, and I think Atlanta's going to be one of those teams to watch out for sure. Bouncing things over to our news and notes of the NBA, a lot going on. Like we said, so many games. We want more games. There's no such thing as too much basketball. You had Klay Thompson, who sat out yesterday's victory against the Philadelphia 76ers with a sore knee. Looks like he's going to need to get an MRI in that same knee. Joel Embiid still sitting out because of that left knee injury. They hope to get him back on the court sometime this week. The Milwaukee Bucks, who seem to be signing everybody. San Antonio Spurs bought out and released Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol gets signed by the Bucks. And oh, by the way, Eric Bledsoe gets a 4-year, $70 million extension from Milwaukee as well. So they're all in. Giannis cannot say this team's not doing everything in their power to give him ample help and ample firepower to make an NBA Finals run. The Jazz last night played against Milwaukee. Talked about Donovan Mitchell. Great game last night. I want to say 46 points and a 17-point comeback to beat Milwaukee. So we got that going on. You and I have both been on the low, super Sacramento King fans this year, so it's sad to see Marvin Bagley go down again with a knee injury, kind of bang knees in a pick-and-roll situation. He's playing defense. He'll be out for a week or two and get evaluated again. A guy who was having a really solid season, in my opinion, it's a shame he hasn't been able to play in a while, that's Lonzo Ball, who's going to need a little bit more time to recover from that ankle injury. He'll be evaluated by the Lakers in a couple of weeks. And then last but not least, we can throw some hip-hop and some pop culture into our podcast. Coogee, who we all know from the Biggie Smalls song Hypnotized, is suing the Brooklyn Nets, the NBA, and Nike, saying that the Brooklyn Nets Brooklyn camo jerseys is a steal of their design. How much money they're looking for, I do not know, but the lawsuit is pending, which is a shame because, the Brooklyn Nets are having a really, really good season. Leave them alone, man. Let them guys enjoy, man. You got D'Angelo Russell, All-Star, Spencer Dinwiddie, one of my favorite players. He's back into the groove. You got Allen there, the big guy in the middle. But, if they're still your design, which you claim, I guess you got to go for yours the same way that Brooklyn's got to go for theirs. That's kind of some of the news and notes that I have. I know you got some things, too, you want to talk about, Pat?
Oh, absolutely, man. You talked about Donovan Mitchell, man. I got to mention it. I already mentioned it once, but, man, that 4 overtimes for the Bulls and Hawks. Zach LaVine, 47 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. One rebound, 1 assist away from a triple-double. Otto Porter, you and I mentioned it. We talked about it all the time. I don't know if it's just, new place, new beginning, something like that in his mind, but, man.
Are you saying the Wizards made a mistake in your opinion, Pat?
I'm not going to go into that. But Otto Porter Jr. had 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. And then, of course, Trae Young, 49 points, 8 rebounds, and 16 assists. That's just an all-around great game. And Trae Young actually had to make a shot in the fourth quarter. I can't remember if it was the fourth quarter or the first overtime, but just to put it in there to make it to the next overtime. One other thing, got a shout-out to my guy Dwayne Wade with that game winner over the Warriors.
One last dance, baby.
And, it's funny because I remember after the game, they interviewed him, and he basically said he told Steph that he owed him that one. So he's like, I'm going to take this one. And then he took his little victory lap around. So, but it was great to see that. You and I talked about it. It's interesting. It's weird, but Isaiah Thomas wants the Muggsy Bogues role in the Space Jam 2 upcoming movie. I think that'd be
Shoot
awesome.
Your shot, Isaiah.
I think that'd be awesome. I think he'd be great at it. And then, of course, man, we talked about the Bucks earlier, but we didn't mention, man, the Bucks are the first team to clinch the playoff berth with the win over the Lakers the other night. So shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks. They're a fun team to watch. Giannis Antetokounmpo is by far one of the top players in the league right now. What he did in the All-Star game, what he just continues to do, is fun to watch. As a matter of fact, you got Coach of the Month. We got Mike Budenholzer and Terry Stotts. We got Players of the Month, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and we got Paul George in the Western Conference.
No argument here for either one.
Yep,
for me.
and we talked about the rookies, of course, Trae Young and Luka Doncic. Another guy I want to talk about is Dinwiddie, man. Dinwiddie finally came back from his 14-game absence with the finger. Yep. He's averaging 13 points, 4 assists, and 24 minutes in the 2 games that he's playing. So he's still doing something out there. Where else? Now, of course, a couple different things. One, got to talk about James Harden. I mean, clearly what he did in that streak that he was on, I think it ended at 32 games.
Yep, correct.
Yeah. So it ended at 32 games against Atlanta, where he scored 28 points in that game. He had a chance to jack up
triple
3.
teaming to make sure he wouldn't get it.
Yeah, right. So let's just talk about this. So after that game, of course, he had a win against Charlotte, where he had 30 points. Then he had the win against Miami, where he had 58 points.
That's it.
58 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists. Then he came back with a win over the Celtics, 37 points. So clearly that one little blip of scoring 28 points didn't stop him from doing what he was doing. I mean, each game he's jacking up threes, and that actually it's ironic, but and you look at that game against the Hawks, he was 0 for 10 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, I remember that was awkward.
Yep. And then turn around and follow that one up with a 1 for 11 from the 3-point line against Charlotte, which he did score 30 points, but I mean, geez, flip. I mean, you watch that guy play. I mean, that's his game. He's going to knock down, the little baby step back.
Death by step back, baby. Death by step back.
But it's just crazy to talk about him. And, clearly, like I said, he's back on that streak. Hey, maybe he'll go for another 32-game streak. Well, I guess we don't have that many games in the season. But, I mean, clearly he could go to the end of the season and score 30 points. And then I want to kind of end it with, you and I talked about it, and I double-checked it. And I saw a stat the other day where it says LeBron James is right behind Michael Jordan on the all-time career points list. I believe Michael Jordan is 4 and LeBron is 5. At this point, it looks like LeBron needs just 39 points to pass Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list to reach number 4.
That's crazy. Like I was telling you before we started the podcast, though, I mean, from day one at age 18, LeBron came into the NBA. It's been balling, so I'm not surprised at all these records of scoring and all-star scoring. He's breaking them because a lot of guys that came from high school to the league needed 2-3 years to adjust. I mean, even Kobe took a while to adjust the air ball versus the Jazz in the playoffs. LeBron just came out gunning from day one.
How about that he's top 10 in points and assists?
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
Top 10 in all-time points and assists. Name one player that is in either of those. 0. Him, by himself. Nobody. Crazy.
Yeah, the kid's been incredible. His career is incredible. And I hope it has... We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what is happening to the Celtics and Lakers so far this season. But look at the longevity of his career, LeBron James. You got to be impressed. And before we move on, too, I wanted to mention that you and I, Pat, probably not as much as we used to be, but we still dabble. Big-time video game players, especially NBA 2K. I think we both made our own player and played seasons and won championships many a time. Well, now Nuts and Bolts Sports is diving into esports as far as following teams, writing about it, covering it. So of us being located in the Washington, D.C. area, you can definitely look for Nuts and Bolts Sports to be covering district gaming. That is the official professional NBA 2K team for the NBA 2K League. For those of you guys who don't know, 17 of the 30 teams in the NBA have 2K teams now. We have professional players representing those teams. So we'll be covering the Washington, D.C. team in depth. A lot of player interviews, features, and profiles. The draft for Season 2 is Tuesday of this week, and then the season's going to start early April, Season 2. Pat's shaking his head because he still cannot believe there's a professional 2K league. He's wondering, had he spent a few more hours playing the game, could that be him there?
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Back in the day, I was pretty good at 2K. I'm not going to lie. I took a few people's money back in the day, played a few people online back in the day. Me and my buddies, we'd switch back and forth on quarters playing, and we were pretty good, but I don't have the time at all right now anymore. So, but shout out to those guys, man, because that is awesome.
Yeah, I saw a used copy at Target, $29. I was like, I'm gonna buy this, and I thought about you're gonna play it today, and it's not gonna get played again until August when 2K20 is already out. You just wasted